lovely enough to let us take out. And it's passing through. It's just kind of, I don't know. So, without further ado.
Some days later, the dining room of my father's house. Nighttime. My father is lying back in an armchair. He's asleep. Elena, sitting in an upright chair, is dozing. In the distance, maybe night watching, we sing a haunting peasant song. Suddenly, my God wakens in confusion and panic and terror. The dining room, I think, in my father's house. My father is lying down, he's sleeping. He's sitting upright in an upright chair. He's dozing, 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 he's dozing, 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 he's dozing, pace and
Well, the first scene is with the nurse, and I refuse the vodka, and I don't ask for any food either, although it's offered. And then he talks to her. He's actually probably the person he's most affectionate with in the play is the nurse, because then he mentions that later. And then he says, he asks, when did I first come here? She says, well, let's see, it was so-and-so got married, so-and-so died 10 years ago, and you were handsome then. You were handsome then. Handsome. Then you were. Yeah. And Hassel says 10 years ago. And Hassel says 10 years ago. Yes, I was. I was a different man. But now all I do is work. I work all day and all night. So I never even go home. I'm always exhausted.
I don't even go home.
And the worst thing is in the middle of the night.
And in the middle of the night,
I don't sleep then either, because I start to shake.
Start to
tremble because someone
I'm afraid someone will come and say someone is sick. Someone is
might need
sick,
me.
And they might need me.
And that's so terrifying that I don't sleep. And my feet hurt because I'm on them all
and I can't sleep. And my feet hurt because I'm on them all day.
One thing after the other.
It's one thing after the other.
There was this
epidemic in the town. It was typhoid. And all the sick people were lined up on the floor next to each other on this straw floor. It was typhoid. And they were on this straw floor, and all the cattle came through the house. The sheep and the goats were walking back and forth in the house all day. I stayed there all day. The straw on the floor.
The animals,
the sheep and the goats,
were just moving back and forth. And after doing this for a day, for hour after hour,
more than a day, hour after hour, I went home and I couldn't eat. I couldn't
rest. And then someone came in and said, this person needs you.
And this other person came in and they were sick. I used chloroform. I used chloroform.
And I
person,
I mean, I was
this person
there. I was sort of responsible
died.
for his death.
I was responsible for his death. I used chloroform, and this person died. And I was responsible for his death.
So this goes on day after day.
Goes on
in
day
this
after day. In this
village, in this country, where people
are silly.
It seems to me.
They are silly. It seems to me.
To me,
they're
silly.
People,
it seems to me,
silly. These
are
people,
just silly.
I'm there, and I walk with them. So I must be.
I become like them, walking among them. I become the same thing. But
like them. But I am not.
I'm not stupid.
They are silly. I am not
smart.
I am smart.
That means.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that means anything.
That means
I'm smart.
Anything.
I'm not sure
because
that
it's
this. Because it's this.
Anything.
This.
That means
place.
anything.
It's this place. So
because
I'm not
it's
sure
this.
it means anything. But I'm not.
This place, and these people that do that.
It's these people.
And now, I came here because I thought I was needed here.
I was needed
because the professor has gout.
And he's taking all of this medication. So
taking all of this medication. I'm going to course.
So I came here
This is
because I thought
young wife.
Her eyes. Young wife. Her eyes.
Except
her eyes.
Oh, come on, why do you tell me something?
But beautiful.
What do you want me to tell you?
I guess that's
What do you want me to
reason
tell you?
enough.
What do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell you?
What do you want me to tell you?
Reason enough.
Everything's the same.
There's nothing new. Nothing new.
I'm just growing lazy.
Nothing new. Everything's
There's
old.
nothing new. Everything's
The
old.
same as I was. Perhaps worse. Because I've grown worse. Because I've grown lazy. I can't do anything. I just grumble like some old fogey. That's from my mom.
Oh, my mom.
The old magpie still goes on chattering about the emancipation of women. With one eye she looks into her grave, and the other she studies her learned books, to look into the near future. Life.
What about the professor?
The professor.
Professor?
Professor.
The professor.
As usual.
As usual.
Sits in his study writing from morning
Reads
till
all
dead
day
at night.
long.
With furrowed brows and thoughts intense, we write and write our
His
own
thoughts immense.
But no praise ever comes our way
for what we do,
we are,
what we say.
or what we say. Sorry for the paper he writes. Sorry for the paper he
I feel
writes
sorry
on.
for the paper he writes on.
The paper he writes on.
He should write
What a
an
superb
autobiography. Now that would be something.
Retired professor, don't you see? Professor, don't you see? A dull old stick. Old stick. A dull
Dried
old stick.
scholarly fish.
Fish. Afflicted with gout,
rheumatism, migraine,
jealousy, and with jealousy and
swells his liver.
He's living on his first wife's country estate.
Living on his first wife's country estate because he doesn't have any money on his own.
Living there against his will because he can't afford to live in town. He's forever complaining about his misfortunes. Though, as a matter of fact,
he's lucky. Extraordinarily lucky.
Lucky.
Son of a common sexton.
Trained as a priest, to get university qualifications and qualifications and qualifications and a professorship. Excellency. Forth and so on.
Senator.
However, that's not the main thing. Just consider this. This man has been lecturing and writing about art.
He's been writing and lecturing about art for 25 years. He doesn't understand anything about art.
For 25 years, he's been chewing over other people's ideas about realism.
Theories about naturalism. Realism.
For 25 years, he's been lecturing and writing about things that intelligent people have known all the time.
Intelligent people know about this all the time.
And stupid people aren't interested in. People aren't interested. And stupid people aren't interested in. For 25 years, he's been just wasting time and energy.
He's been wasting our time and energy.
What an opinion of himself.
What pretensions.
Pretensions. He's retired and not a living soul is aware of
about him. They don't care about him.
Today, he's completely unknown. And that simply means that for 25 years, he's been occupying a place to which he wasn't
he's not entitled to.
He struts around like a little tin god.
Sounds like you envy him.
Yes! I do! I envy him!
And what a success with women!
Look at his success with women! No, Don Juan was more successful than him!
I never experienced success as complete as his. My
sister, his wife,
his first wife, beautiful, gentle creature, as pure as the blue sky. Generous and noble-hearted. Who had more admirers than he ever had pupils.
More admirers than he had pupils.
As only innocent-hearted angels could love other people as pure as themselves. My mother still adores him. He still inspires her with feelings of reverent awe.
And his second wife.
You've seen her.
Beautiful.
She's intelligent. She's intelligent.
An old man.
You've seen her.
She gave away her beauty, her talent, her freedom,
and a beauty.
Her whole brilliant personality.
She gave him
what for? Why?
A whole brilliant personality.
An old man.
Whatever for?
What for? Why?
Whatever for?
What for? Why?
Why?
Why do you have to destroy everyone in every situation all the time? I mean, we come in here after a nice walk, and you just leap in on everyone, you know. But me, somehow there's compassion for me, and I.
Well, even you, I mean, sometimes I wonder how you can just be so complacent, and, you know, I wondered how you could be so kind of satisfied with your life. That,
But see,
you're right. Everybody bothered me. Everybody just, everybody irritated me, and it's because I felt like I had nothing in my life to look forward to. And I felt that everybody was, whether they meant to or not, was conspiring against me.
But the thing of it is, all of that is, in the big scheme of things, it is so petty. And that's the problem with the world today. You know, just this little living situation that we are in, everything that is so petty is blown up to such big proportions, and the real care that we have for each other is just lost because we're so concerned with these tiny little nothing issues that don't really matter.
Well, I told you.
You don't really care about. You don't care. Nothing is. The earth is not cared about. You know, I'm not cared about. Not really. Nobody is really cared about, but it's all these little teeny tiny gnat-like things that you get all caught up in. It's like you can't see the forest for the tree. Forest for the tree. The forest for the tree. Forest for the tree. Forest for the tree. Forest for the tree. The forest for the tree. Forest for the trees.
Well, I told you I wasn't crazy about your philosophy, but I said that because I thought maybe you were right. It bothered me.
All that is so irritating to me. It's deeply irritating to me. I really don't want to be bothered.
I know you don't need.
In this life, there are people who lead and those who stumble after them. And I've always been a stumbler behind my husband in my attempts at a career in music and all those silly romances when I was young. A woman of absolutely no consequence, ever. You are looking at a very, very unhappy woman. And you're laughing at me.
I'm so happy, happy, so happy, so happy, so happy, 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 happy.
I'm going to play the piano. 1 in the morning is the time to play the piano. Yes, do. Yes, do.
So happy, happy, so happy, 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 happy.
In this life, there are radiant face. Look at that radiant face. If anyone deserves happiness, you do. In this life, there are people who lead and those who stumble after them. Lead people who lead. If anyone deserves happiness, radiant, radiant. Look at that radiant face. If anyone deserves happiness, you do. I've always been a stumbler, always been a stumbler, always been a stumbler behind my husband in my attempts at a career in music and all those silly romances when I was young. A woman of absolutely no consequence, no consequence, ever, ever. You are looking at a very, very unhappy woman. And you're laughing at me.
I'm so happy, happy, so happy, so happy, so happy, so happy, so happy. I'm so happy.
I'm going to play the piano. 1 in the morning is the time to play the piano. Yes, 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 yes. Do. I can't sleep. Do. Yes, yes, yes. Do. Yes, yes, yes. Do. Yes. And you're laughing. Happy. Very, very unhappy woman. A very, very unhappy woman. And you're laughing at me.
I'm so happy, so happy, so happy, so happy.
I'm going to play the piano. 1 in the morning is the time to play the piano. Yes, do. Yes, 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 do. Yes, do. Yes, do. Yes, do. absolutely no consequence ever. Because when music or and those who stumble after that, always when they stumble, always when they stumble, always when they stumble, always when they stumble, always when they stumble. And all those silly romances when I was young, a woman of absolutely no consequence ever, looking at a very, very unhappy. I'm going to play the piano. 1 in the morning is the time to play the piano. Play the piano. Yes, do it. Yes, do. Yes, do. I do.
Oh, she says, you have not noticed anything. He says, nothing. You do not love her. I see it in your eyes. My sun has set. Jesus. Of course, if she's suffering. If you'd spoken to me a month ago, I might have recognized.
You don't love her.
This is nothing. You do not love her. I see it in your eyes. My sun has set. Jesus. Set. Jesus. Has set. Jesus. Set. Jesus. Jesus. Recognize this, but now I don't really care. I don't really care. I don't really care. I don't really care. Set. My sun is set. Jesus. Set. You have not noticed anything. He says nothing. You do not love her. I see it in your eyes. See it in your eyes. Love her. You do not love her. You do not love her. I see it in your eyes. My sun has set. Jesus. Set. If you'd spoken to me a month ago, I might have recognized this, but now I don't really care. I don't really care. I don't really care. I don't really care. Set. Jesus. My sun has set. Jesus. Sun has set. Jesus. Sun has set. Jesus.
So it's very new to us. So I'm just here to and I would invite the performers to be up here as well. But mostly it's just, this is like a brand new way that we started working with the piece. And so in terms of working with Lucas and the loops and the actors, coming up with a way in which to improvise together. So that's kind of what we have set before you. So any thoughts about that?
So we're kind of sliding into this.
Yeah.
You're supposed to see exactly.
Why don't you sit here?
Lucas, I don't know. You know what? I'm just going to be huggish here. I'm going to do So we got what? Not even 15 minutes. And I thought we were going to do something where we would ask the audience whether they wanted to ask you questions. And I didn't know there was going to be 7 of you.
Sure.
Or whether you wanted me to ask you questions.
Whatever. I mean, I would think like maybe if you had an observation that you wanted to start off with, and then.
So one thing that I know and you all know, and some of these folks may know but may not know, I've seen now 3 versions of this piece, and every single one of them has been radically different, which is interesting. And I think if we have any time left, that's what we're really going to talk about, is why they're different and what that means about the way of working. Yes? Makes sense? So the first one was in, as Mallory said, was in the upstairs, the sort of second floor room at the old PS 122 schoolroom. I think many of you know that space. And my recollection of it was, I think you confirmed this, that it was, at that point, obviously it was working in some relationship to the Vanya text. There were things that sort of felt like approaching scenes. I mean, they were sort of scene-like elements. But it was also very much in play against the wall as scenery. So the wall seemed to have spaces behind it. They looked like closets or something like that.
That's the one in the video.
And so, and it felt very much like an installation of people sort of working with the Vanya text, but also spinning off of it. And obviously, people that many of us know from years and years and years of doing theater in spaces like this. Then came the performing garage, and that's what you saw in the movie at the beginning. Were many of you there for that? And many of you saw it. Yeah, so what happened then was the wall, it was rare, the wall had been taken out, physically out of the space. This old beat up, must be a 100-year-old wall. Is that space even there anymore? Because the building's being renovated.
The building's being renovated, that's why we got very attached to the wall, projecting the wall onto itself, and so.
Does the wall go back, or is it now free and floating through time on its own?
Well, it will be our set, and then if they want it back, I've said to them all along, we could always have it back for the venues.
Which I just think is Astro right there. Yeah. And all that happened, well, I shouldn't say all that happened then, but I think Susan was the only one.
Yeah, Susan was the only one.
And she did some of this work at the table with the pills in the dark, but you had text in it, right? But then, sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there was a whole, most of the presentation for about 40 minutes was just the video loops of full-scale, kind of real-time shots of that wall, and as you could see, Susan moving around in the wall. But you have to take it on faith that the being in the room with that real, ultra-real beat-up wall, and then really vivid, but slightly grainy, jaggedy video superimposed, and then seeing the people go in and out was beyond sweet and wonderful. And again, had nothing to do with where I thought the piece was going. Oh my God, it's terrific. So you see, I'm a player. I think one of the big problems of doing something like this is what the hell do you do with Chekhov? You can't do it without it, but you can't really do it with it. So I was very excited to see, and there was no dialogue and stuff. And much like the stuff that we saw today, there were a lot of repeating patterns, looping patterns, the sound, Lucas's sound. Were you in the first version of Mallory?
Yeah, he was never on stage.
But yeah.
He was like sort of back.
And I don't remember the first, whereas in the wall you can see it. You spent about 20 minutes looking at these boots and wondering who's attached to them. It's you, and who knows it? Perhaps it was the mad guy running the wizard. And now we have this.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we did at the Performing Garage is that we've been working on the technological capability so that Lucas can affect the video, which is new.
Right.
And that kind of really exploded the potential of the video because of his instrument, it's quite imprecise and it's quite improvisational, and so it's a very frustrating thing to try to make this analog machine sync up with this very digital thing.
It's a real, isn't it?
Yeah. So one of the things we did in the Performing Garage is put sensors on the decks so the decks can talk to the video. So the video now is very much in sync with Lucas. And one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out how the performance, how the text, whatever we choose to do, how the actors can have a similar relationship and work with Lucas in a similar way. So that the piece, this is the second piece I worked with Lucas, and I really like the kind of, his ability to kind of like get really chaotic. And we're trying to make a performance in which we can do that sometimes, or that a scene could take 30 seconds or it could take 2 minutes, depending on how it's going in the performance. And so what we're doing here is trying to figure out, are there rules? And so we took there's what you saw involves actual them reading from the Chekhov, but it also involves like them trying to remember what the Chekhov is, or one person telling you what the scene is. So there's various ways in which the actors are kind of creating material, which then he has to play with raw material. And it's everything from an actual scene from the play where they're all reading their parts to one actor trying to remember the scene. And so they would say other people's parts to them all just sitting around going like, okay, this is what I remember happened next. So it's varying degrees of
Yeah, and over again, the flow sort of goes along by fits and starts, and then it kind of gets into an eddy or a whirl. You know, there was one with Paul, and certainly one with Susan where she's laughing. Just do it, just do it. And how much of that is set, and in what way is it set, and how much of it is like improv?
Well, I mean, I'll let actors talk a little bit about
Yeah.
We basically will say like with the laughing thing, like we're gonna go through this whole loop like 3 times, and on the 4th time it's gonna be like this. And so we can set up loose parameters, and then it's gonna be different because I mean it's never gonna sound exactly the same. So he'll catch different things. So it's tricky for the performer. I mean, it's tricky. That's why we've kind of spent a good amount of time trying to.
But from what you're saying, it's as much about them being able to drive the thing, or are they just responding to essentially the
It's
tape?
both. I mean, because what Lucas is doing is not the same anytime.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. So the trick is, I mean, to answer your question, Jeff, it is improvised.
But you're counting at the same, in some sense, not totally improv. There's like the idea of beats or repetitions. We do this 3 times, or not even.
No, not in the part I'm doing. I'm taking from what he's doing, and sometimes I move a little ahead, and then he's trying to riff off that, and sometimes he's moving ahead of me, and I'm trying to riff off that. So I find what's going to be interesting about doing this, if we keep this version off, is not remembering it. You're not setting anything, not memorizing it, because as an actor you learn and you tend to repeat. But I'm trying not to remember the text, so that I can really play off what he gives me, because the piece is about these characters trying to. It takes. I don't think Mallory said it. These are the characters 20 years later. And they're trying to, this, like, Vanya is kind of stuck.
Even more stuff.
Even more stuff, and some of them are trying to move past it, and so it's digging way deeper in. So how to keep that alive, I think, how do you remember something in a perfect way?
I mean, I just want to add on to that like the challenge of the piece is really about is trying to make it actually about memory, like actually like what you're watching the performers do is remember, like that there's like this like making memory kind of dramatic event in some way. So this is a technique. This is one way that we're doing it, and so the performers, there's not a script, they just know we're going to go into this section, so they have to rely on Lucas to cue them, and then sometimes that cue will drive them forward in a story, and then he catches up, and so he'll back.
And just to be heavy-handed, and then we will take questions. I mean, as we get older, memory is less about retention, more about loss and gaps. And the idea of getting lost, I think, was expressed so elegantly and painfully in the movement sequences that we saw at the Garage, of which you saw some, that they go on the way all things go. Yeah.
In 1992, I was living on the edge of the jungle in Brazil, and I was doing some experimental theater, but before that, I realized that there was a little theater, even though the town I lived in had maybe 500 people, and the actors could not remember their lines. So what they had was this very bad audio system that played their lines, and then they repeated the mine in a very similar fashion, but it was just really reminded me of that. I just thought I shared with you that, you know,
Well, actually,
very primitive way
this
of
is something that Richard Foreman did years ago when he first started, because he was working with non-actors, and he didn't ever ask them to do their lines, and so he would record the whole thing, and they had rules about, like, he would push pause, and, like, they had this whole language, and, so, because of Lucas, and also because Foreman wasn't actually using reel to reel, so I was like, maybe we should just start with that and, like, see, you know, where we go. So it's borrowed, the idea is totally stolen.
We have time for one more? I know you need the space. One more.
What are the goals? Are there any next iterations of this coming up? Or?
Yeah, the premiere is in February at the Chocolate Factory in February. Mid-February.
Well, I'll ask one last quick question. When you sit down to start work again, or maybe you're in the middle of a session, I don't know if you work continuously, probably not, but there's certain times you do. Any idea where you will start? When you pick it up again?
It's a little bit, I mean, I'm hoping it'll be a little bit like a combination of the way we started to work at the Performing Garage and a little bit of this work where there's always a dialogue between, like, in the Performing Garage, we created a lot of those things out of just, like, sometimes they're video sound things. And then, you kind of, like, we created all these sort of video sound things that Susan was sort of playing inside of, and then you kind of create a gap, and then, then maybe there's a snippet of a scene that fills in that gap. So I'm looking forward to where we can work with all the elements at the same time, but we might have a video idea to solve one problem, and then maybe there's a bit of a scene, a la kind of what we're doing here. And then, so hopefully it'll be a back and forth. It's not like all the time working on scenes. Sometimes we'll kind of try to solve something with video or with sound, so.
Thank you so much. That is, now we have to let